Today, we have a special guest on the podcast, IFS officer Madhu Sudan, who played the role of an interpreter during the informal Wuhan summit to none other than Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He is a 2006 graduate from Electrical and Electronics Engineering. Thank you for joining us today, Madhu. Ni hao ma.
Thank you, Shweta, and thank you for having me.
Pardon my Mandarin. Okay, so before we deep dive into some questions, I would like to ask you some rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
A favorite word in a foreign language?
Anything that translates to hello.
Hello.
Because that's the icebreaker.
Okay.
So ni hao or konnichiwa or anything that translates to hello.
Okay, those are Mandarin, is it? That's in Mandarin.
Ni hao is Mandarin. Konnichiwa is Japanese, where I am right now.
Okay, fine. And quality of Prime Minister Modi that you admire the most?
I mean, it's different because look, it's indeed it's a privilege and an honor if you have to interpret for the Prime Minister, but it is also a heavy responsibility. So I rather remember myself being nervous about my job at that time. So the quality of the prime minister I admire the most. Well, I mean, is of course he is very calm, composed in meetings, and as far as my special job at that time as an interpreter was concerned, he is very clear in his communication, which helped me at that time to translate clearly what he was saying.
Okay, so we'll speak more about your experience as an interpreter later. And more nerve-wracking, representing India at the UN or translating for the PM?
Translating for the PM, of course.
Okay, Japan or China?
Both different for different reasons.
Okay, which country would you like to be posted next?
Most probably India back.
Okay, okay, a historic figure whom you would like to translate for?
Maybe well, frankly, I have finished translation. I have not translated for anyone for the last 5 years. So I think I will stop. I would rather stop with Mr. Modi.
Okay, you'll have to do one for us in the end in Mandarin. Okay, and your favorite cultural experience? Anything outside India or tradition?
There are several because, I mean, outside India, see, I have been in China, I have been in the US, I have been in Japan. I am in Japan, in fact. So there are like China is multicultural, so to speak, because there are several different experiences you get in different parts of the country. Same with Japan, same with US. So I can't just pinpoint one from those.
Okay. Well, a book that every diplomat should read.
Oh, anything. I mean, in a sense, every diplomat should read a lot because that is literally our bread and butter.
A book that you love the most?
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Okay.
Yeah.
One unforgettable memory as an IFS officer?
Well, there are several, of course. It's every day has been interesting and new. Interpreting for the leadership, serving in our permanent mission to the UN, as when India was in the Security Council. Now in Japan, every single day is different. So every moment is unforgettable.
Okay, so you're living every moment. Every moment is the best moment types. Okay.
I suppose so.
Okay, so those are your questions. Thank you for playing along. So let's deep dive into some other questions. So to begin with, as an interpreter, that would have been a very crucial link in pivotal conversations. How much pressure did you have, or can you walk us through your experience?
Well, I told you before, it is nerve-wracking because obviously there is no higher level that you can translate for. when you are translating for the leadership, the prime minister or the foreign minister or the president, and you are aware at the back of your mind that that the whole responsibility is on your shoulders, and and because literally what the other side is hearing is your voice, not on behalf of the leadership. So for someone who is at that stage, I was just about, let's say, 7 years in service when I started doing this. It's quite nerve-wracking experience, so to speak. So I remember heavily trembling during my first such assignment, but then you get used to it as days go by. Of course, I was also, I mean, interpreting was, of course, my one of the things that I did, but I'm primarily a diplomat. So I was serving in China at that time, and therefore I knew the substance well, and therefore I knew the nitty-gritties of the conversation. So that made it easier.
Okay, that should have been a lot of responsibility and so much precision also in your conversations. So I'd like to quote an incident. So recently, when I went for a trip with my mom, we went for an ATV dune bashing. She did not know Hindi and she wanted the guy to slow down. But so she had asked me, what does it mean to slow down? But I had told her what it means to increase the speed. So while she was really telling the guy to go slow, but it was actually going very fast. It was so hilarious for me, but horrific experience for her. Did you face any slip up?
I am hoping I did not.
Okay.
because if I had, I would have been. I mean, I would have been told by everyone that I had messed up.
Okay. Okay. So cool. As a counselor, you've represented India at the permanent mission for the UN Security Council. So how do the proceedings go? Because there are model United Nations at schools and colleges, but how does it actually happen there?
Well, India was in the Security Council in 2021-22. Now, in the UN, of course, Security Council is the primary organization responsible for peace and security, and none of the other resolutions of the UN have any legally binding obligation on any country, but every decision of the Security Council is legally binding on every country in the world. So whatever those 15 countries decide in the Security Council, everyone else has to follow. So that is essentially a huge thing, and which makes I mean, first of all, it makes life when you are in the Security Council handling it, it becomes sort of a very hectic. It is almost 24/7 because unlike the, let's say, other parts of the UN, the Security Council is expected to function 24/7. I have had meetings on weekends, meetings going into the nights, negotiations happening on weekends. So that is interesting. But then what's more interesting is you actually get to see how politics is played on the world stage, which, I mean, to a non-permanent member, it is not like everyone gets a chance to be in our permanent mission when we are in the Security Council. So it is sort of a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Okay, so though it's a non-permanent member, it's the Asian century, as most of the scholars believe, and India is an emerging power. How is India's voice perceived in the international arena?
We do have a lot of voice. We do enjoy a lot of respect. A lot of countries look up to us, and we do have a lot of friends, so to speak, especially from the what is called the global south. Mm-hmm. So for instance, when we organized, so far we have organized 3 editions of the Voice of the Global South. There has been substantial participation in those those events. The last such summit meetings, last such event which happened in August this year, saw participation from nearly 125 countries, which is quite substantial by any standards. And these are all countries that are, that are developing, that are aspirational, diverse. These are countries ranging from the small islands in the Pacific to big countries in Asia and Africa and Latin America, and they all have similar issues. They all want their voice heard on the global arena. They all feel that the issues are getting hijacked by the so-called global north, because there is predominant emphasis being given to what they perceive as their priorities, and relegating the priorities of the global south to the background. If you see even the issues that are taken up by everyone, like climate change or poverty elevation or things like that, the global south has very particular and unique challenges on all these fronts. So they, in a sense, the fact that they all attended and participated in the summit that's organized by India, essentially is a reflection of the kind of friendship and how they look at us.
Okay, so that's interesting to know. So, what's your biggest lesson from international diplomacy?
I don't think I have learned biggest lessons yet, because hopefully I have a little more time to go.
Okay.
But the one of the things is, see, every nation is fends for itself, and that's what we also do. Ultimately, when we go out, be it in China, Japan, be it in the UN, be it in the Security Council or outside the Security Council, ultimately what the so-called, there's this thing called the Gandhi's talisman, where Gandhi is supposed to have said that, you think of the poorest person whenever you do things. Similarly, we have a talisman. Whenever we do anything, whenever we sort of take any decision, whenever we go for any negotiation, the only thing that matters to us is how it serves our national interest. The rest, everything else is secondary. So that's sort of the biggest lesson for me.
So that's so nice to see how you're putting the bigger interest ahead of your personal interests. Okay, so taking you back to the memory lane, I would like to ask you some memorable incidents from your college at CEG.
Well, there have been so many memorable incidents.
Okay.
I mean, right from the, I don't know whether you still do the Agni's Techofest and those things these days. It used to be a big deal. I'm sure it is a big deal even now. One of the, I don't know, it's not memorable, but it's interesting because I was also involved in the college elections.
Okay.
For during my time, and I was the general secretary of the Students' Union during my third year. And one of the biggest tasks that we had was to get sponsorships for Agni and Techofest. And let me tell you, it was not an easy thing those days. These days, I hear that it's I mean, big. There are big sponsors that line up to support these events in CEG. It's not like that those days. So I remember going on my friend's bike, going all over the place, begging for sponsorships for conducting these events.
Okay.
So that's maybe one of the memorable events. The other one is it's not memorable, not memorable, but maybe a funny story. One of my teachers, or rather my project guide, he was quite surprised that I could get into the foreign service, because he did not have much hope for me when I was in the final year. So
So you
because
clearly troubled the professors a lot, I guess.
no, I did not. I hope I did not trouble him. It's just that I was focused on other things.
Okay. Okay. And these sponsorships, I think they're an excuse to bunk the classes as well.
I mean, you don't need an excuse to bunk classes.
You can just bunk. As Leon. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you rag juniors?
Do you really want me to comment on that?
Yes, why not?
Maybe no. maybe
Okay.
we
A
can
diplomatic
skip
answer
that.
again. Lessons from diplomacy. So coming to the final part, we have the alumni event, which is planned on Jan 3rd and 4th, 2025 next year. I'd like you to translate some sentences in Mandarin for us. Okay. This is the message. It's going to be an amazing event. All of you can meet all of your friends in the alumni meet. Please do come register for the event and have fun. Please translate this for us.
I think I told you in the beginning that it's been 5 years since I
Okay.
did this. So my Chinese is very rusty, but let me try.
All right.
这个活动非常好，很多朋友可能会来到，你们也可以跟你们的朋友回见。
Okay, I didn't understand a bit, but I can do only this. I know.
Yeah.
That was wonderful.
No, it was not wonderful. It was a very rusty Chinese.
We didn't understand anything, so it's
Yeah, so that's good.
okay. So it's a pleasure to host you today, Madhu. Please do join us if possible on the event on Jan 4th in 2025. Looking forward to meet you in person someday.
Sure. Same here. Thank you.